Lassiter Factor.
What's up, all my movie loving maniacs? This is your boy Bangful B of the Lassiter Factor, and today I'm going to talk about Avatar: Fire and Ash, which was released in theaters over the weekend. I went to the theater to go see it, but not in IMAX, so let's review. So, Avatar: Fire and Ash is the third film within the Avatar franchise, and it takes place after the events of the second film, Avatar: Way of Water. Jake Sully and Neytiri, as well as their kids, they are grieving over the loss of one of their own from the end of the last movie, Avatar: Way of Water. Colonel Courage is still hunting Jake Sully and his family, but then they also get attacked by the Fire Nation. The Mogwin clan, which is basically the Na'vi with fire, same way there is a Na'vi species that pertain to water. But that's basically the movie. Two other clans of people are after one clan of people, while the Sully family is grieving over the loss of one of their own from the last movie. Now, my relationship with the Avatars is, I guess you could say, complicated because, on one hand, they are movies that I appreciate as visual spectacles to watch on the big screen, but beyond that, I just never really cared for this franchise beyond that. And I understand that there's people that do like these movies, and I'm happy that you get a kick out of these movies. But as someone that is always story first and visual spectacle last or whatever, these movies just doesn't really do anything for me in that department. But generally speaking, that first Avatar movie, I guess, is a modern classic. The second movie, I do like more than the first movie, but I've only seen that movie twice, and I honestly just didn't really care to go back and rewatch the first two movies to prep for this movie. That's just how much I care for this franchise as a whole. But I was surprised to say that I actually like this one more than the first two. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying this movie is perfect, and this movie definitely does have its flaws. And I understand that there are some people out there that didn't really like this one and feel like this movie is just more so the same from the first movie. And I get that. But where this movie, the reason I have this movie over the first two is because I just feel like this movie just kind of improved in terms of story and character. Because, like I said, this movie is taking place directly after the events of the second movie, in which the Sully family, they're dealing with the loss of their son, and we get to see how everyone, well, not everybody, but the key members of this family is dealing with that loss. We get to see how their grief is affecting them, particularly Neytiri, played once again by Zoe Saldana. And when you see her at the beginning of this movie, she is at her lowest low. Like, she is just done. And this movie does continue to be a visual spectacle. These movies have always excelled in that department, and that credit does go to James Cameron. But at this point, that's just kind of expected of him. I kind of wish he would do something other than these Avatar movies, but hey, I do like the villains they have in this movie, granted. One of them is a returning villain from the last two movies, Colonel Courage, played once again by Stephen Lang, and I feel like this is the most they've done with his character in these movies since the first movie, because the first movie, like, okay, y'all resurrected him, but as a Na'vi, and y'all took the memories of the original body and put it in this Na'vi body, cool. But then we actually get to see more of that because his son, Spider, they do something with his character that I won't spoil here, but what they did with his character, it does have some ramifications for the next couple of movies, which I am excited to see, admittedly. But I did like what they did with Courage in this movie a lot more than they did in the second movie. And then you got Farang, played by Ona Chaplin, who is a descendant of Charlie Chaplin, or daughter. I don't know how that family lineage is. All I know is that she's related to Charlie Chaplin, and we see her here, and she's probably my favorite villain of the two. I also like what they did with Sigourney Weaver's character in this movie, who is, again, also basically a clone from her character in the very first movie. And just like Courage, I feel like they did more with this character in this movie than they did in the last one. Now, for the things I didn't like, the action, it was fine, but I just don't think it was as strong as it was even in the first two movies, especially at the end of the second movie, where it basically just became James Cameron's greatest hits. But the reason I just wasn't really feeling the action in this movie is not the action's fault. It's the fact that this movie just kept changing the frames per second. The standard for that is 24 frames a second, but for this movie, at least the screening I went to, it's like the frame rate just kept constantly changing. And I did get used to it after a while, but it still didn't make for the best experience at times. And as much as I did like this movie, I did feel like this movie was more so a bridge film to get us to wherever they're going to go in the next movie. But regardless, after watching this movie, I am a little bit more excited for whatever happens in the next movie. I might even put it on my anticipation list for whatever year it comes out. They're saying that the next movie, the fourth movie, isn't going to come out for another 4 years, and that they're allegedly shooting the fourth movie right now as we speak. If you wasn't really feeling this movie, hey, I get it. But for me personally, I enjoyed this more than the first two. So I'm going to give Avatar, Fire and Ash the thumbs up emoji. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have you seen Avatar, Fire and Ash? If so, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And let me know, where does this movie rank amongst the 3 Avatar movies we've gotten so far. This your boy, Thankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Peace.